She was just a maid with trembling hands and eyes always on the floor. He was a CEO who ruled from the top floor of a glass tower. One silent mistake, and their worlds collided. What happened next changed both of their lives, and left the entire company stunned. Meher was a quiet, almost invisible girl in the world of high-rise buildings and tailored suits. With her thin hands covered in worn gloves and her scarf always neatly tied, she moved through the offices of Orion Tech like a ghost no one noticed. Cleaning wasn't just a job for her, it was survival. Her mother was sick, her younger brother needed school books, and rent always loomed like a shadow over her. She was punctual, obedient, and painfully shy. She never spoke more than needed, never looked anyone in the eye, and always did her work silently. Her only friend was another maid named Fariha, who often joked, "You're so quiet, I think even ghosts talk more than you." On a rainy Tuesday, when the building was emptier than usual due to an off-site training, Meher arrived at 6 a.m., like always. She was told to clean floor 15, south wing, but through a mix-up, perhaps the numbers had faded on the work slip or perhaps it was her anxious mind reading too fast, she went to floor 17, the executive floor, where no maids were allowed unless strictly supervised. Unaware, she entered a large, immaculate office at the end of the hallway. It had a wall full of windows overlooking the city skyline, and a table that looked like it was carved from a single block of oak. The nameplate read Mr. Zayan Malik, CEO, but Meher didn't notice. She simply did what she was used to doing, cleaning carefully, gently, almost reverently. She wiped down the desk, organized the scattered files, cleaned the glass, even rearranged the few books that lay out of place. Then she sat for a moment, tired, on the couch by the window. And that's when the door clicked. Zayan Malik wasn't supposed to be there. He had returned early from a last-minute deal negotiation in Dubai. He walked in, half distracted, still on a call with his CFO, until he noticed the figure on his couch. A girl. A maid. Sitting in his office. Meher jumped to her feet as if struck by lightning. Her cloth fell from her hand, and her heart hammered so loud she thought he could hear it. She stammered, "Muj se galti ho gayi. I didn't know." Zayan, tall, poised, and usually sharp-tongued, paused. Something about her panic struck him. She wasn't being careless, she was terrified. He ended his call and looked at her, not as a CEO, but as a man seeing a story behind scared eyes. "You cleaned my office?" he asked, his tone calm. Meher nodded, unable to speak. "Did a good job," he murmured after glancing around. "Better than the usual staff." She blinked, confused. "Sit," he said, motioning to the couch. "No, sir, please, I'll go, I'm sorry," she began to retreat. "Sit." And for some reason, her legs obeyed. Zayan asked for her name. She whispered it. "Meher," he repeated. "That means blessing, right?" She nodded, too shocked to understand why he was still talking. Over the next few minutes, he asked her questions. Simple ones. About where she was from, how long she'd worked there, what she wanted in life. At first, she resisted. But his voice wasn't commanding, it was curious. Gentle. For the first time in her life, someone who wore a suit didn't look through her. And then, she cried. It wasn't loud or dramatic. Just a quiet stream of tears down her cheeks as she admitted, "I didn't even finish school. I had dreams, big ones, but life kept getting smaller." Zayan was silent for a moment. Then he said something she'd never forget. "You know, I started this company as a boy who used to sell used books outside a cafe. Someone once gave me a chance." He stood, went to his desk, wrote something on a piece of paper, and handed it to her. "This is not a punishment," he said. "It's a proposal." Meher took the paper. It was an appointment slip, for an office assistant internship under the CEO's mentorship. Her lips trembled. But I don't belong here. Zion smiled. You cleaned this office better than my staff. You've survived more storms than half my boardroom. Don't tell me you don't belong. Let's see what happens when you stop hiding. 6 months later. Meher walked into Orientech with a new ID card. It no longer read cleaning staff. Now it read assistant to CEO. She still wore her scarf, still had soft eyes, but now, they held pride. She managed schedules, reviewed documents, and even sat in on strategy meetings. At first, many mocked her. The maid? Sitting at the board table? But slowly, her attention to detail, humility, and deep commitment won hearts. One day, during an important investor meeting, when the head assistant fell sick, Meher took over, and presented flawlessly. When she finished, a quiet applause echoed in the room. Zion simply nodded with a knowing smile. End scene, addressing the viewers. Sometimes, destiny knocks when you're scrubbing the floor, not sitting at the top. Meher didn't choose to be seen. She was just surviving. But one mistake led her to the right door, and a man who chose to look deeper than her uniform. Her story reminds us. Every person has potential. Every soul has a story. And every act of humility can be the beginning of greatness. So next time you see someone quietly doing their job, look again. You might be looking at a future leader, or the next Meher.